What's going on, guys? This is Kaishiro. Welcome back. So we are back with another OCG metagame tier list video, and as usual, this tier list was made by Rai_10y and was posted by ESDR's Facebook page. So thanks again to them for providing quality OCG content all of the time. So we have 4 tiers here. We have S, A, B, C. So we are going to assimilate which are the best decks post Phantom Nightmare and as well as on the November 2nd week of 2023. So without further ado, let's start. Coming at first, we have the C tier. We have the Illusionist Chimera. So I think that the deck is good right now, but I don't really regard the deck as a C tier worthy meta deck. To be honest, I think that the deck is capable of tapping. Most people doesn't know what to do against you. They don't know the interactions against the deck. They don't know the choke points as well on Chimera. But yeah, I do think that the deck is kinda lacking on firepower. I really think that you should need a Horus engine to incorporate on this deck to be able to get the best out of this deck. I do think that the pure version and the branded version is really lacking right now on the format. But with Horus, you have a better going second potential. Of course, with your rank 8 XYZ toolbox, using the Horus and Guardian Chimera is a phenomenal card as well that can elevate the power of this deck. But yeah, I don't think that it will really reflect on the metagame right now, and I just think that it's a fluke for this week. The deck is successful this week, but I don't think that it will continue to top on the following weeks post Phantom Nightmare. And then moving on, we have Branded. So Branded has been falling off. I have already told that on my previous YouTube contents videos, but yeah, I do think that Branded is still decent. It can still do a manageable job going first. Can set up the Gignol and the Mirror Jade as well as other gimmicky tricks like the Gimmick Puppet and the Idolak that can really stun opponents. But yeah, I think that's where the Branded sits at right now. I don't think that it will not be higher than C tier. It is a good deck, but I think it is past its prime right now. It's been long overdue. Branded has been relevant since 2021, and I think it's about time that other decks should step up and take away the prominence from Branded already for being one of the most popular and played decks on the format. But yeah, I will not take anything away from Branded. This is a very established deck already for a very long time. So yeah. Moving on, we have Horus. So I do think that it is Horus Naturia because it is the most represented version of Horus right now, aside from the Horus Centurion, of course. But yeah, Horus Naturia is the one that I am really excited about, to be honest, on the current format. Because the deck can turbo out the Calamity like the Centurion. You can have easy access towards the Calamity line of play. And as we all know, Calamity is an absurd card that can instantly win you the game, paired with cards like Naturia Beast and other stuff on the Naturia engine that can make this deck more versatile and flexible, because having the ability to summon out the Naturia Beast on this format can give you good chances of winning against spell-based oriented decks like Runic, for example. 90% of the deck is consisted of spell cards, and also purely they run a lot of spell cards to be able to do something on the game. And we have the Silent Force as well. Those are decks that are kinda reliant on spell card strategy. That's why having Naturia Beast on your field gives you some sort of safety around these decks and other spell-based oriented decks right now. So yeah, I really do think that Naturia Horus is a deck that you should look out for right now. I think it is worth playing right now because it has a lot of advantages and upsides on the most of the majority and matchup spread on this format. So yeah, Horus Naturia, I do agree with that one. On the C tier, next we have Centurion. So there's a lot of Centurion right now and a lot of variants as well. We have the pure Centurion. You also have the Horus Centurion. It is also notable that there's also Dogmatica Centurion and Bestial Centurion. So there's a lot of Centurion variants right now on the format, but I only regard them as one deck, to be honest, because the power level of those decks doesn't really uh, shy away from each other. They're pretty close, to be honest. Because Horus Centurion has more ceiling, has more floor for the Horus to be able to do something as your extra engine, while the pure or the Dogmatica version gives you more resiliency. You have more room for hand traps, you have room for the Nadir Servant going second shenanigans. So yeah, they are pretty much close, to be honest. But as Centurion as a whole, I do think that this is still a very good deck. On the Philippines, it is one of the most played decks on our local metagame scene, and I cannot really deny the fact that it can play the Calamity, and having Calamity on your arsenal is such an easy way on playing the game right now. Why would you stress over playing high interactive decks like the Fire Kings, like the Rescue Ace, like the Salamangreat, those decks that will require massive amount of thinking and logical retrospect on playing your cards correct right now on the format, no? Why won't you just summon the Calamity and just win the game basically from the moment that you have summoned Calamity? So yeah, it is less stressful, to be honest, for me, and it is a huge factor on big tournaments. If you are stressed over on playing multitudes of rounds on the Swiss, you are really tired of thinking on your deck, I think it has a huge factor that can burn you out on the latter stages of the tournament. That's why I think that Centurion gives you that refreshing state of mind that you're always in a what do you call this? You don't really think hard about doing your stuff. You just really summon out the Calamity and win the game from there. So yeah, I think Centurion makes life easier for most competitive players, to be honest. And then moving on, we have B tier. We have Runic. So Runic Stun is still a very decent deck for me. Right now, most people have been disregarding the capacity and tendency of getting stunned by Runic Stun as the format goes on. Most people have been preparing against the Fire King, the Rescue Ace, and even the Purely, but they lack the respect against back rows and the stun mechanic of Runic. That's why if I'm going into a tournament and the metagame is really diverse like this one, I would want to play something like Runic, because most people would just ignore the tendencies of the deck and they would just focus more on much more represented decks like Fire King and Rescue Ace. So Runic is still a safe bet for me right now in the format, and I don't think that Runic is on low B tier. I would just rate it as high B tier if I'm going to assess this tier list for me. But yeah, the results doesn't really back up that opinion of mine, because there's a dip on representations of Runic recently, and most people are playing the Silent Force, the Fire Kings, and the other new decks on the block like the Snake Eye, Sinful Spoils. That's why it doesn't really get some recognition and massive representations right now on the format. So at B tier, we have Runic. I totally agree with that one. I would just want this deck to be higher and to be more respected. But yeah, moving on, we have Salamangreat. I also think that this deck is quite low for its performance right now. This deck has been tearing it up lately. Even the world champion Kuki Kosaka of 2019 played this deck on the YCS Japan recently, and he played really okay with the tournament, even though he didn't top. He got a lot of results on that Swiss rounds, and also Salamangreat is a very reliable deck already for a very long time, 5 years already. We have Salamangreat on 2018-2019, so this deck has been around on the format, and it got better, and it will eventually get better on the OCG because it will get a support from the new pack that has a Hit Soul Effect Monster on that set. So yeah, Salamangreat will only get better as they will get more support. But right now, I do think that the deck is really powerful. I am invested as well on playing Salamangreat right now myself, and I pick up the deck as well. And the ceiling of this deck is really underrated right now. Most people just think of Salamangreat as a mid-range type of control deck somewhat, those type of low ceiling deck. But no, Salaman Great is really explosive right now. You can incorporate the Lady Debug and the EMP to make a huge board. Using the Salaman Great, it can dish out Barone, Raging Phoenix, and SP Little Knight on a single turn, paired with your powerful Roar and Rage traps on your arsenal. So, Salaman Great is a deck that can really surprise the people if they don't really respect the deck, and as well as knows the counter against Salaman Great. I think this is a really spicy deck right now on the format, and for me, it is a top 5 deck already on my perspective on this metagame tier list. But yeah, moving on, we have Labyrinth with the variants of Arias Labyrinth or the Furniture Standard Labyrinth. So, the turning point on Labyrinth right now is the Rumple Truffle, the card that was released by the Phantom Nightmare as well. So, that trap card elevated the power of Labyrinth already because it saw massive representations on top cuts of the tournament. We have the Campus League tournaments. On the Philippines, we have Ian J. Macolata playing Labyrinth on that tournament, and he has a massive success on the deck using the Rumple Truffle because that card is insanely strong on Labyrinth. It can really make the things tough for a lot of decks that relies on a single card that enables them to perform, like the Orcus Horus. It relies on Galatea and other stuff like Purely that relies on Nor. Those type of decks would really struggle around Labyrinth right now, and it is also worth noting that Labyrinth can dish out the most powerful trap cards on the format right now. We have Dimensional Barrier that can single-handedly win against Pendulum Magician, declaring Pendulum Summon. It can also really topple the Purely by declaring XYZ Summon. So yeah, this is a really powerful control deck right now. Probably the best control deck right now on the format on the hands of Labyrinth. So yeah, I would really like to shout out this deck at B tier, and this really massive right now. And then moving on, we have Pendulum Magician. So this deck got a little bit power creep in some way because other decks like Snake Eyes and Silent Force got better, so they just kind of fall apart on this metagame tier list. But I still think that this is the most explosive deck out of all these decks. This has the more way of playing around hand traps, playing around much more complicated and diverse boards right now in the format, because they can play through about pretty much anything else on the format right now, because the deck has that gas or the firepower or the ceiling to play around those boards, because they have so much interactions on the deck. And also, we cannot also deny the fact that this deck can dish out the best turn 1 board right now on the format with the powerful negations like the Apollousa, the Savage, the Barone, and the SP Little Knight, and IP Mascarena. All of those generic boss monsters on the field can be dished out by Pendulum Magician, and they are paired up with multiple types of negation as well and interruptions. So yeah, if you let this deck combo off and you cannot interrupt this deck on their combo line of play, I think this deck would just devastate you out of nowhere. So yeah, one of the most explosive decks right now on B tier. I would agree with that one. Moving on towards the A tier, we have Purely. So this deck got a little bit underwhelming on the following weeks of our October format right now, because other decks just got better. We have Snake Eyes that got supported, we have Fire Kings that got even better, and Rescue as well. So Purely is kinda left behind from this metagame, but we cannot really deny the fact that Purely has been around on the metagame for past 2-3 formats already. So we could really tell that this deck possesses a good amount and quality of survivability and resiliency on the format to be able to adapt on different environments on the format, mainly because of the fact that it is one of the most powerful decks when going first. It can set up the Nor that is unaffected, can interrupt 2-3 times already, paired with cards like Sleepy Memory that can give you draw power and advantages, card advantages. So this is still a very good deck right now in the format. But yeah, I just think that it is really notable that Purely is on low A tier right now, because other decks just got better, like I've said earlier. And even though Purely is still very relevant, I think that Purely is kinda weaker than things like Fire King and Rescue Ace right now. So yeah, we cannot really put Purely on S tier unless if people would just disrespect the deck once again. It happened before where people really opted to side out their Drolls and their Herald of the Abyss and Trust. So Purely got breathing room to perform once again. So yeah, if that thing really can happen again, I think that Purely would rise up again once more towards the S tier, because yeah, if people doesn't have the outs to the Nor and the Purely in general, Purely would continue to snowball out of control on this format. So yeah, A tier Purely, I would agree with that one. Moving towards next, we have the Sinful Spoil Snake Eyes. So like the Pendulum Magician, this deck is a very explosive one. It can really combo off with 1-2 cards only from the Bonfire and the Snake Eyes and the Sinful Spoils starters. It is one of the most good and better decks that can be explosive on the format right now. It is a combo-ish oriented deck and can set up cards like Apollousa with only one card. It can bring out as well something like IP Masquerena that can go into SP Little Knight. It can also summon out something like Thunder Dragon Colossus if they opt to play the Nemesis package, and also can bring out Barone and Savage on the board that adds negation. On top of that, they have the Sinful Spoils engine that also gives them extra negation on the board. So you can really overwhelm a lot of decks here on the format when you can go first, and you pretty much have some leeway because you take only one card, 2 card combo, so you can incorporate some hand traps on the deck, utility cards like talents to make your deck more smooth. So yeah, I think that A tier on Snake Eyes Sinful Spoils is really good right now, because before on our previous metagame tier list video, I have said that we would put the deck on pedestal because the Snake Eyes that time was fairly new on the format. I think I really put emphasis on the experimental phase on this deck from the player's perspective. Their mix and match matching deck builds on this deck. They are playing around on the ratios, on the inclusions on the deck, but right now it is more established, and I can already visualize that this deck is a deck that you should be reckoned with, or you should be prepared against right now on the format, because I can see the potential of this deck that can elevate once more if people would play this deck and stick to this deck more on the following weeks on our format right now post Phantom Nightmare. So yeah, I think A tier on Sinful Spoils Snake Eyes is very good addition on our format right now. Moving on, we have Fire King Snake Eyes Sinful Spoils. So this also got better from the Phantom Nightmare. They got the Togahime, the Prisoner Princess, and also the Populous as well. So this deck is very good right now on the format. It is like a better version of Unchained, to be honest. It destroys cards out of nowhere. It can really devastate boards right now in the format, and it can comfortably go second as well. Even though the deck doesn't really look like a going second deck, I really think that this deck has gas and firepower to bulldoze anything on its way when going second because of the destruction capabilities of the Fire Kings, and also Sinful Spoils and Snake Eyes adds more resiliency and consistency on the deck. And as a bold claim, I would really rate the Fire Kings, Sinful Spoils, and Snake Eyes as the best deck on the format. I think that the Campus League tournaments from the Philippines and other parts of Southeast Asia really proves that. And also the YCS Japan that is recently concluded is won by Fire King, Sinful Spoils, Snake Eyes. So yeah, on bigger tournaments and grand scale of things, this deck has been very successful right now on the format. So yeah, if anything less, I would put this deck on top of Rescue Ace. But yeah, Rescue Ace is still very much widely represented right now in the format. That's why it is regarded as the best S tier deck on the format on this tier list. But yeah, I really can vouch for Fire Kings to be able to hold their own against the Rescue Ace and be the top on this metagame chart right now. So moving on the A tier, we have the Silent Force Dogmatica. So this deck as well is new on the block. Last time it was on the C tier or the low tier 3 status, but now it got even higher, moving towards the A tier. So what this deck really adds to the table, no? You really don't lose against Ash Blossom, and you can play around Maxi. Those are the two biggest attributes on the success of this deck for me. When you are a deck that can dish out a very decent board, playing around Maxi, and you don't really lose hard against Ash Blossom, you are pretty much a deck that can really play on the OCG format. You know what I mean? Because the OCG really revolves around the Ash Blossom and Maxi. Those two cards are the most represented cards on the main deck of many players on the OCG format. That's why having the ability to play around those two cards can be really helpful on the Swiss tournaments and the tournaments that would really matter on your luck and the survivability on the deck of this deck to play around those cards. So yeah, this Novox or the Silent Force can be a deck that can really perform better moving on, because most people are still figuring out how this deck functions, and most players on this deck also are still experimenting ratios on the deck. Some play the Diviner, some people doesn't play the Diviner, some play the Dogmatica, and some play doesn't even want to play the Dogmatica engine. But yeah, I think that if people would figure it out more and better, and would create a standard deck list of this Silent Force Dogmatica, I would really think that this deck can challenge the S tier right now in the format, just for the fact that it is very consistent, has one card combo, can set up Omni Negate on the board, and you don't really lose hard to Maxi. I think it is a really trait of a deck that can top the OCG metagame once again. Moving on towards the S tier, we have the Rescue Ace, Sinful Spoils, and Snake Eyes. So like the other fire decks here on this metagame, this deck benefited as well from the Phantom Nightmare from the release of the Prisoner Princess and the Populous from the Snake Eyes. So what makes Rescue Ace a cut above the rest on this metagame? I think it dwells down on the consistency of Rescue Ace, to be honest. You can really tell from the moment that you can see 9-12 starters on Rescue Ace, you could already visualize that Rescue Ace is the most consistent deck out of all these decks on this metagame chart right now, and I think it really pays dividend on the success of this deck on this format, because the more consistent that you can be on a tournament, you can pretty much avoid losing to bricks. You can play consistently on a regular basis if you can do your thing 90% of the time. So yeah, I think those factors can really give Rescue Ace a cut above the rest on this meta. Unlike other decks here that can brick hard and stutter on the tournaments, like the Branded and the something like the Chimera. So those decks can really struggle around consistency. But on Rescue Ace, you won't really struggle around consistency because of the things that I have said earlier. You have a lot of starters on the deck, and also the set for Turbulence is really immense. It can hold down a lot of things on the format because of the nature of the Rescue Ace being a deck that can really set up a very good board when going first. And also, this deck is really widely regarded as the most played deck on the format. So I highly suggest that you should really prepare on Rescue Ace on the format, even though this format is very diverse, no? You can see a lot of decks here on the metagame. Already, we have 4 decks from the C tier, we have 4 on B, we have 4 as well on A. So, I think, if you really want to top tournaments on this format, I would really recommend preparing hard against Rescue Ace, because this is the most played deck on the format, and you need to have your Lanceas, you need to have your Veilers and Imperms, and your Mourners on the format that can manhandle the Rescue Ace right now, because yeah, it will likely going to be the most represented deck on the tournaments right now. So yeah, this sums up our metagame video on this edition of November 2nd week on OCG format. Short recap: on C tier we have the Chimera Illusionist. On C tier we have Branded, we have Horus Centurion. Horus Centurion and Horus Naturia. On B tier we have Runic, Salamangreat, Labyrinth, and Pendulum Magician. On A tier we have Purely and Snake Eyes, Sinful Spoils. And we have Fire Kings, Sinful Spoils, Snake Eyes, and we have the Silent Force and Dogmatica. Silent Force, Dogmatica. And on S tier, Soul S tier on the list, we have Rescue Ace, Sinful Spoils, Snake Eyes. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you do learn something from this video. Hit the subscription button if you're not yet subscribed on my YouTube channel. And hit the notification bell if you want to get more updated on my future contents. So see you on the next one. Peace.